Have you ever wondered what it's like to be an insect or a bug? To live in a world where you are very, very tiny and everything else is huge, enormous, where giant blades of grass and dandelions tower over you like skyscraper tower blocks, like trees grown 1,000 years ago in some Jurassic swamp. Have you ever wondered what it's like to be a millipede? In this episode, I'll be discussing what it is that makes me want to write poems and why it is such fun. Because in poems and stories, anything can happen. Hello, how are you? Now, there's no millipedes out here because we're in the bright sunshine. The millipedes like to hide away in the dark, damp, cool woody areas and under rocks and things like that. If you live near a woods or some fields or a park where you can go out for a little bit, those are great places to go hunting for bugs as well. And if you have to stay indoors or you're at home, then you can also find these creatures in most gardens, under rocks and old bits of wood or old pots or near the shed and so on. And if you absolutely can't go out, some of the creatures mentioned in my poems can even be found indoors, like spiders and even the millipedes. If you've got an old damp cellar, you can explore. Anyway, in my first poem in this series, The Millipede, I take one aspect, one fact or thing about the millipede and concentrate on exploring my ideas around that fact. And that's one of the reasons I like poems so much, because when you're writing a great long piece of work like a story or a report, in poems you can often write something very short, but use a really interesting fact or feeling, or even a silly idea, to make the reader of your poem stop and think. A bit like looking around on a lovely day like this and thinking about the clouds in the sky. Because that's what a lot of poetry is about. It's about things like trees and woods and daffodils. There's a famous one about daffodils and the sky. But the important thing is, whatever you write about, whether it's onions or biscuits or bits of bread or grass or trees or sky, whatever you write about, a poem lets you write in your way and say things that only you can say, because only you can see things in the way that you do. And that's what I like about poems. In this poem, I mentioned the fact that millipedes have hundreds of feet. Did you see that in the video? Hundreds and hundreds of little feet, weren't they? All scurrying along. Look at all those feet. He must have hundreds and hundreds of shoes. But in writing, I like to explore words and meanings, so I take this idea of having hundreds of little feet and wondering what I would do if I had 100 feet. What would you do if you had 100 feet? Can you imagine having 100 legs and feet? And if you have hundreds of feet, does that mean you have to have hundreds of shoes? And where would you keep all those shoes? And if you did have hundreds of shoes, going out for a walk would be a nightmare, as it would take half the day just to put your shoes on and tie up all those laces, wouldn't it? Anyway, that's why I like writing poems, because you can have a lot of fun just by thinking about a simple thing like a millipede and exploring things about them, like what they would do with all those feet. Now, here's the challenge. I'm going to draw the millipede from my story poem, and while I'm drawing it, perhaps you can think about how you would like to write about a millipede, or about another bug or mini beast. If you can't find a millipede or a worm or a slug or a spider, don't worry. You can write about any little bug or creature you like. It can be a creepy crawly, or a butterfly, or a moth, or even a fly, if you want. But the important thing is to try to make it a bit different from the usual way you would write. You can make your poem rhyme if you want, but it doesn't have to rhyme. You can make it very, very serious and very thoughtful. or you can make it funny and silly. The most important thing is that it's original, by you. It is something that only you can write, because it tells the reader how you think or feel about that creature. Well, good luck everyone, and your teachers and I can't wait to read what you all write. Have fun, and we'll see you tomorrow for the next poem, The Worm. Bye. Now, I did this one yesterday, and I've recorded how I painted that, so I'll show you that in a little bit. But unfortunately the recording of the pencil sketch to do this didn't come out very well, so I'm just going to redo it. So this is what we're going to end up with, hopefully, and I'm just going to show you how to do it here. So, to begin drawing my Millipede, I take a lovely, I think of his face, I'm going to put it roughly here, and the eyes probably there, and a nice curvy shape out of there. That's his body. Remember the lovely shiny curvy Millipede body we saw yesterday in the video? So there's where his eyes will be, like that. And as soon as I put in the eyes, my character often starts to come alive. Now he's going to have trouble tying up his laces, so I'm going to make his mouth turn down a bit at the end there, and I'm going to make his body go out further over here, a bit like that, and maybe that sort of shape. There we go, so he curves like that and round. Then I'm going to put in some segments, because millipedes are segmented, aren't they, like worms. Segments are pieces, like segments in an orange. There we go. Don't have to draw the line all the way round. Your mind adds that for you. And then a couple of little antennae, like that, and there's our Millipede. Well, he hasn't got any feet, has he? But of course that's the thing about Millipede. Hundreds and hundreds of feet, so let's just start adding the feet. Look. And I'm going to put some shoes on. I'm not going to put them in very much detail, the small ones at the back. But the ones in the foreground, I'm going to give little wellies, or trainers, or any other shoe you want. So I'm just going to draw some little wellies there, like that. Lots of... And then afterwards I'll come along with the ink and ink in the wellies. And I think in my original one, you can see I've drawn some arms for him, tying up his shoelaces. So let's do that, shall we? I think we've got an arm coming out here. That's all we have to do. Fingers, just very easy, and a thumb. Hands are fun to draw. It's very difficult to draw hands, but once you get used to it, you realise that all you have to do is make sure the fingers are pointing in the right direction, the thumbs are pointing in the right direction. Are they that way or that way? The gestures, how do you do different things with your hands? Basically there's a big, not square, but I don't know what the shape is, that sort of shape, and fingers, and you can do it like that, like that, like that, or anything that hands do. Anyway, with his hands he's tying up his shoelaces, isn't he? There we are, just very roughly put it in, and then we should have some more, another shoe for him to tie up there, like that, and another one that's resting on the ground while he does that. A little bit of shadow. And of course the laces. There we go. There's our little millipede. And then the next thing I do, don't know if you can see that very well. And then the next thing to do is to add the ink outline and then paint it. And what I like to do first is, I always like to go for the eyes first. Just do that, just to make sure it's not too thick. Just do the eyes like this. There we go, that's the shape of his eyes, and do the pupils like that. He's looking down. That's pretty much it. We have the antennae, don't we? And one there. We can start to draw his body. The millipede. I wonder how the millipede finds time to stop and think, with so many feet to organise, let alone to eat and drink. I wonder how he gets them all to walk a similar way. If I had feet, like a millipede, I'm sure it would take all day. The millipede is like a worm that doesn't have to dig, and he can't live underground because his cupboards are too big. Imagine the shoes left under the stairs. Imagine 1,000 wellies. A similar number of trainers and pumps and a couple of thousand jellies. If I turned into a millipede, and I possibly could one day, I would treat my feet to a foot massage, as long as I don't have to pay. So forgive the gentle millipede if you find him under a rock. He's probably only looking for a single missing sock. Starting to take shape, isn't he? Or she. I wonder if it's a boy or girl. Who knows? Now, your shoes don't have to be perfect, just have to be a bit welly shaped. There we go. If you're doing wellies, you could do any shoes. Maybe your creature doesn't wear shoes. It could be any other creature, couldn't it? Might be drawing a spider, or a centipede, or a woodlouse, or a caterpillar, or any bug that you can find. Doesn't really matter, as long as you're enjoying drawing it. And hopefully you're going to be thinking, as you're drawing, you're going to be thinking about how you're going to write the story. See, some people write a story first and then illustrate. That's what I do. Other people like to do a drawing and then write about it. Doesn't really matter, as long as you have a go. Do your best. And this is the final stage of producing a little bit of artwork, kind of thing I do in the illustrations for my books. In the first little bits of video you saw how I drew the little millipede here, just with the average pencil and rubber. And then I did the ink using this special waterproof ink, this very old-fashioned spiky pen, which is very nice to use. And now I'm going to finish off by filling in some colour. And this is how I produced some of the illustrations in, this is the book, my first book. And you can see the illustrations here. These were all done in the same way, drawing on watercolour paper, first in pencil, then in ink, and finally colouring with watercolour. Something I really enjoy doing. Anyway, so that's the book. I'm going to show you how to do this now. And can you see how I'm leaving the light bits to suggest the lighting? His or her, we don't know yet, do we? Haven't decided. You can make yours whatever you want to be. let's go with the greeny gold, because we like that, don't we? So I'm going to mix up more of that now. Blue. Only a dab, because it's very strong, this stuff. There we go, and there's our lovely greeny. I'll put this into the dark area first, down here. Right. And over here. And if anyone says, oh, why millipedes don't have purple dots, we can say, well, they do in our story. There we go. I think that's it. The only thing I like to do then is just add a little bit of shadow under the feet, so like that, which just makes it feel like it's actually off the ground. And there he is, our millipede, all done. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little demonstration. How to draw a millipede my way. And you can do it your way, or any way you want. So, there we go. That's how to draw and paint a millipede. Or at least a millipede the way I see it. Of course, your millipede could be whatever you like it to be. I just wanted to focus on the fact that they've got hundreds and hundreds of feet and have all those shoes to do up before they even leave the house. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. And by the way, I'm going to be giving away this painting, this actual one, in a little frame, as one of the prizes in the competition. So one of you, yes, one of you there, is going to have this to take home and keep. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little episode, and I hope you're looking forward to the next one tomorrow. In the meantime, I hope you have a lovely time reading, writing, doing your poems, and we're really looking forward to seeing it all. Oh, the sun's come out again. I think I'm going to go and run around in those giant daffodils. See you tomorrow. Bye. It must be good to be a bug, to be so very tiny, to preen your perfect pod each day to make it green and shiny. If I turned into a little bug, and I possibly could one day, I would snuggle up safe in the cool, cool grass and quietly stay that way.